The electronics.
Surely love is in this place, holy ground. Surely love is in this place, holy ground. Grief, surely grief is in this place, holy ground. Surely grief is in this place, holy ground. Peace, surely peace is in this place, holy ground. Surely peace is in this place, holy ground. Hope, surely hope is in this place, holy ground. Surely hope is in this place, holy ground. Trust, surely trust is in this place, holy ground. Surely trust is in this place, holy ground. Grace, surely grace is in this place, holy ground. Surely grace is in this place, holy ground. Strength, surely strength is in this place, holy ground. Surely strength is in this place, holy holy ground. Love. Surely love is in this place. Holy ground. Surely love is in this place. Holy ground.
We welcome you all to this service of remembrance of Kathleen Carter. I am Alice Martin. I will be leading the service and have known Kathleen since 15 or 16 years, and she was an integral part of creating the pastoral care team, who our thanks go to them for their participation in organization downstairs where you get to go after we're done here. I want to thank the community singers too as well. Kathleen may not have been a part of the group, but she certainly was known by many in different capacities, and we thank them for blending their voices with ours today. We welcome you all, and those on YouTube who may not have been able to be here in person, and all of those as well who join us in their spirits, who are up with other things today and not able to make our service. Everyone's invited to a reception downstairs after the service for more stories, lots of hugs, and good desserts. We will begin by lighting our chalice.
Please join me. The words are in your order of service. The light of this candle represents this gathering of people as a time to mourn, but also as a time of celebration. It keeps guard over our hearts as we mourn the loss of Kathleen from our physical presence. It warms us as we remember the gift of Kathleen's life to us. It enlightens with the belief that death is not an ending, but simply a new beginning. Our hymn is number 123. You're invited to stand as you are able.
This is a song that we sing through twice.
Please be seated. We gather today to remember Kathleen Carter and all that made her who she was, all that delighted her, that made her laugh or moved her to tears, calling to mind her story and the many lives she touched along the way. We are as well here to honor her today, her outlook, her inner strength, and the things that she believed in. We recognize her goodness, her uniqueness, her own special gifts she shared so generously with the rest of the world. We as well are here to celebrate her life, her connections with family and friends and all who loved her, feeling enriched for having known her and so grateful for our time with her, and affirmed for us that this is how a meaningful life can be lived. So we do indeed gather today to remember, honor, and celebrate her life. We'll take a journey together this afternoon through song and stories of this person who has touched so many. We will mourn and shed tears and comfort each other over the loss of Kathleen in our lives. It is a part of the process of grieving, and together we do that journey today and in the upcoming weeks and months. What we will find as we journey together is Kathleen has really never left us. She has just moved to a place in our hearts, loving us still, always. When I was looking for a reading, there's a special one that really speaks to Kathleen's life, her involvement in touching so many areas, not just the pastoral care, but my heavens, all the students she had, the group she belonged to, amazing. And this reading I will read is truly about her love for nature as well. And so it is entitled Leave Taking by Sandra Berry. And this is what Sandra writes. Kathleen, when the coming of your death becomes an awareness on the planet, some wondrous events happen. The world went out through the universe shouting, we are preparing to leave this place that you call home. In the presence of your leaving Earth, it prepared to send you forth. The gravity that had held you so tightly began to loosen its grip, and it called out to you, let loose, let loose, let loose and fly. The words were heard by the wind, and it promised to blow under you and push you. The clouds heard the wind and shouted out, you may land on us and float for a while. And as you began to float, a squirrel noticed and remember how you cared for so many of those lives that you blessed. And he told the rabbit this, and he told the turtle, who told the bird, she's coming, they whispered. The bird song began to sing, and it was heard by a lone wolf, who standing on a cold tundra, howling her appreciation, Kathleen, for all that you gave to so many. Some great distant pines heard the howl and knew of your coming. They swayed, releasing their fragrance to waft with you. The fragrance was gathered in by the swiftest of hawks who flew high and told a passing eagle, she's coming. The eagle swooped and soared until, finding your spirit loose on the wind, it gathered you in and carried it forward to a joyous rainbow. The rainbow said, come, I'm waiting. The colors are all for you. When the moon heard this, it shouted, prepare, a life well lived is approaching. The stars again polished their shine until the illumination penetrated the system. Your soul saw this light and knew it was going home. Home to the light, home to the sun, and home beyond home. And it met with all that it had always known and believed in. The silent and brilliant mystery, the source. The entire mystery burst with the splendor of welcome, welcome. We have been waiting. The source, with all the ancestors around, enfolded her and danced her coming home. While far away in the world she had once known, a group of her loved ones and friends gathered to speak her praises, to sing her leaving, and to forever remember. And we are those. And so today we will indeed celebrate, remember, and honor the life of Kathleen. I would like to start the remembrance time. We have several scheduled, and then we will open it up to all who may wish to tell a story. David wrote down a memory that he asked me to share, and I will do that, David, once I go back to my seat and get it. So this is from David. One of Kat's finest moments was convincing me to go skiing again after I had injured my back during my motocross years. I was very careful of my back and really didn't want to risk a fall that would aggravate an old injury. But she used her playful tone with me, and I agreed to give it a try. So we went to Chestnut ski area and got fitted with boots and a new pair and good skis. I made my way over to the gentle learning slope while she and her brother went off to ski the rest of the hill. I fell a couple times, but I got back up and I moved around, and my back was still at 100%. So I was happy on these beginning slopes until Kat came over and said we should do one run before lunch. Of course, I said, sure. So we rode the lift up and took off down this flat trail to the top of the run where she stopped and waited for me. Well, I got down to her and I stopped and looked down, and it was the warpath, the Black Diamond steep run right in front of me. I gulped and I said, Kat, I don't think I'm ready for this. She got this sweet smile on her face, looked over her shoulder at me and said, come on, you want to live forever? And she jumped on her skis down the Olympic trail halfway and then stopped. And she waved back at David, yelling, come on, you can do it. So I thought to myself, I have jumped a 70 triple racing. I have skied for 8 years. Yeah, I can do this. On my way down, I made 2 or 3 turns and crashed my brains out, and I slid down about 20 feet with a yard sale of equipment behind me. I gingerly stepped up, got up, did a quick body check, and climbed back up to gather my equipment. All the while, Kat was laughing her ass off. We can see her doing that. I got all the equipment back on and made my way down to her. I stopped in front of her and she said to me, see, that wasn't so bad, was it? I replied, okay, beautiful. By this time next year, you won't be able to keep up with me. She replied, that will never happen. And the adventures were just starting. Thank you, David. I know what that brought up for you, but thanks for sharing it. Meg Bullock now will fill us with a story.
See if the mic and I are friends. Let's see how it goes. How's that? Can you hear? Stay close. I was allowed 5 minutes. I've already whipped through 2. Okay, is that better? Oh, here we go. Okay. So I would call Kathleen a person who did it her way. She did it with depth. She did it with simplicity. And I want to share some of that. So we're just going to start with her first name. Who do you know has 4 first names? Kathleen, Casey, Kathy, Kat. And there could be more. I mean, that's just the beginning. So it's hard to condense 40 plus years into 5 minutes, and I'm going to do my best. I met her in 1981 or 2 when I was brought on staff at McKinley School. She was occupying the hearing impaired resource room. And so, as teachers will have it, after Thanksgiving, you ask, what'd you do? And I had just heard about turkey notes. So I was ready to talk about turkey notes. But I said first, Kathleen, what did you do? Well, very modestly, she said, we went to Williamsburg and reenacted the first Thanksgiving. I put my turkey notes away. So then it would be things like, what'd you do this summer? Oh, we were scuba diving in some exotic waters. Who knows what it was? But her favorite place was going to Denver and to Colorado because that's where she was from, that's where her family was from, and again, she did it her way. She loved to hike, so she and Ted did a lot of hiking. They loved it. They stayed in a cabin. That doesn't sound so unusual, up there in the hills in a cabin. However, here's a little curve. It was in a cabin she and Ted had built. She did it her way. So then, let's go back to school and teaching. She had been in the hearing impaired room for a number of years and decided she really wanted to reach the emotional part of kids. So she decided to get a master's in social work. And she wanted to become a school counselor. Here's Kathleen. A lot of us would do something like that, but this is what she did. She gathered a friend of hers. They created a summer curriculum for young children based on emotions. And they had it in a classroom in her guest house. She and Ted had bought this beautiful property on Kirkwood, huge house that they renovated, and it also had a guest house. That's where they had their classroom. Kathleen did it her way. So I'm thinking, when I get to be this point, my kids are graduated, I'm going to start doing some of those exotic things. Well, when I met Kathleen, I got a quick note, heads up. She and Ted had adopted a little boy. Not only did they adopt one little boy, they adopted 2 little boys. And you know, as if any of you have had children, your life takes a C-turn, whether you like it or not. And that's what happened with Kathleen. So I didn't see her for a while. One day, she called me and said, hey, you want to go to, I forget what it was, something or another. And I said, sure. And she pulled up in this greenish car. It was chartreuse, lime, olive. So she got in, and I said, oh, so Kathleen, I'll bet you named the car. She said, yeah. I said, what'd you call it? She said, Pukey. At that point, I knew that 2 children had really gotten to her. So the other part of Kathleen was her spiritual interest. She had a lot of interest in the spiritual life, and so did I. So we both did yoga, and then I got involved with a little training and called her one day and said, Kathleen, I knew she'd say yes. Kathleen, would you like to make your own drum? And of course, she said yes. So she made her own drum. Then I invited her to join us at Fairfield to celebrate with the 13 grandmothers, where they were going to do a lot of ceremony and ritual, which she loved. And she went. The last part. I got a phone call from Kathleen quite a few years later. You know, those little boys were taking up a lot of time. So many, many years later, I got a call. Meg, would you be willing to facilitate? I have a plan that I want to introduce David. He has made me so happy, and I want his family and friends to meet him. Would you facilitate? And we'll have a little celebration with close friends and family. She didn't do it in a park. They didn't do it in a church. They did it out in her backyard. It was a beautiful day, kind of like this. It started out iffy, and it turned out beautifully. And the last thing I want to share with you is the last thing that, have you ever gone to like a library or a bookstore and a book just falls off the shelf right into your hands? That's kind of what happened last week when I was digging through my spice drawer. This came up. and it said, "Take me with you," because this came from Kathleen. If you were a friend of Kathleen's, you know that you received many little gifts from her. She didn't go to the store to get something. She made her own. It could have been a sprig from her garden, flowers from her yard, cruet with kind of concocted vinegars. This must have been her tea strain because it was a chai recipe. Now, they've been in this bag a while, so they're going to stay there. But it just had the whole recipe, and then at the end it said, "Bless you, Meg. Have a happy holiday. Love, Kathleen." And I say, love, Kathleen. That's my picture of this wonderful person.
Good afternoon. My name's Lori McCullum. I was friends with Kathleen since we both were working together at McKinley since about 1978. Okay, is that better? Friends with Kathleen since 1978. I would like to tell you a little bit about my initial work with Kathleen in the jobs that I knew her with first, working in the schools. I could talk for hours about how she impacted my life and our various escapades, but I'm going to start with this. She was a teacher of the hearing impaired and was a creative force in the classroom. Those of you who worked at McKinley and in other schools with her over the years know that. She wanted to hear her students laugh, and she wanted them to know they were cared for. Kathleen and I worked on several projects over those years, including a weekend retreat for the parents of the hearing impaired and a presentation that was offered at a national conference. She was an innovator, and she understood the need to integrate all aspects of the child's life to meet their educational needs. She sensed which children were struggling, so I wasn't surprised when later she became a school counselor. She had the touch. I'm sure there are many children and their families who are better versions of themselves because of her work. I can't end my remembrance without telling you one of our adventures that I think encapsulates her style. One summer, we went on a road trip. We went through Kansas and visited a friend, and out to Santa Fe, where I got to haggle over purchasing silver. She was very good at that. And then we went up to her land. We traversed across ranch land, opening and closing cattle gates, which I had never done before, bottoming out the van, until we reached this little clearing overlooking the national park. One of the photos on the remembrance table downstairs is of her looking out over the vista before us. But the fun part came when I saw the cabin. Did you ever see the cabin? Yeah. She told me there was a cabin. I think shack would have been a more correct term that summed it up better, but I guess it's all in the eyes of the beholder. Then she got a broom out of the van, opened the door to the cabin, and started sweeping around wildly with her broom. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Oh, I'm just checking for snakes." And I'm like, I'm not much of a camper in the first place, okay? So holy cow, here I was going to sleep for 2 nights in this cabin. And throughout the night, I could hear various animals snuffling around, checking out our scents. And I kept telling myself they were probably raccoons and such. But I know that when I looked over, Kathleen wasn't bothered in the least. She was sleeping through it all. She was invincible. I will always miss her. And I just want to say that her sense of adventure has stuck with me, and I'm the better for it. I know Kathleen identified with the Native American culture, and so I would like to close my portion of this with a Pueblo blessing that was suggested by our friend Beth Cook, who can't be here today. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree that stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long way from here. Hold on to your life, even if it's easier to let go. Hold on to my hand, even if someday I'll be gone from you. I'd also like to read a little offering from a friend of hers who worked with her at Grant Wood, Linda Goff. I had the privilege of collaborating with Kathleen during her time as counselor at Grantwood Elementary in Bettendorf. Kathleen had a special place in her heart for students who faced challenges, and she set up many ways to help those students succeed. She counseled them in large groups on how to solve daily problems encountered in school, and set up small groups counseling around specific topics the students struggled with. And she met with them one-on-one. A particularly ambitious effort stands out. Kathleen organized a program based on the FAST materials, which stands for Families and Schools Together. Over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, families came to her school in the evening to have dinner, learn about child-rearing strategies and solutions. The children participated in organized activities in different parts of the building after the shared meal. This took a great deal of organizational time and dedication on her part. In fact, her efforts were so extraordinary that she was recognized by the Iowa Department of Education and received an award. She was also invited to speak at a national conference on dropout prevention and services to students at risk. These examples show Kathleen's determination to help students succeed. It is her calm and unwavering kindness that I best remember. She truly made a difference in young people's lives. Thank you.
Was Kathy Haley? Here she comes.
Good afternoon. Some of us knew my dear friend by different names. When I first met Kathleen, back in the fall of 1976, she was KC. She and I were teachers of deaf and hard of hearing children at McKinley School in Davenport. We became fast friends since she was one of those people who you feel comfortable with the very first time you meet them. She was easy to talk to, fun to be around, creative, and ready to save all the deaf children in the world by giving them language they never had. Outside of work, we had great fun dancing at the fabulous Quad City discotheques, going to the Rolling Stones concert in St. Louis, bicycling around Wisconsin and Iowa, and dressing up for the infamous thematic Uncle Kunkel parties. She loved gardening and would share whatever she harvested or add her fresh vegetables to an excellent meal she had prepared. She was known for giving her friends bottles of her herb vinegars and liniments. For the past 49 years, I've known her to be accepting and respectful of others and their opinions, true to herself and others, a caring person as well as a caretaker, open-minded and non-judgmental, and a searcher of enlightenment, spiritualism, and knowledge. Mind you, that's knowledge with a capital N. She never was a good speller. One of Kathleen's finest traits was being a gracious host. This was evident back in the 1980s when my husband and I became parents of 2 children. Not being able to afford a nice overnight getaway, Kathleen's offer was for us to use the carriage house on Farnham Street. That late 1880 structure had been renovated into a lovely, spacious apartment. It happened to be winter, and as you can imagine, old buildings tend to have little insulation. The shower there filled us with inspiration. Why not? No children, chilly apartment, wine waiting. A nice warm shower sounded great. What seemed like about 3 minutes into the shower, the water turned cold. And I mean icy cold. Only icy water to quickly rinse our hair and bodies. Screaming hysterically and knocking each other over to escape the shower, we reached for, you guessed it, cold towels. So much for inspiration. Picking up the children the next morning, we mentioned to Kathleen that we thought the carriage house water heater was broken since the water ran out so quickly. She said, "Oh no, it's just fine."
Since the apartment was to be rented out, only a 5-gallon water heater had been installed to save money. What? Was there really such a thing as that? In closing, I have a favorite poem. I am standing upon the seashore. A ship at my side spreads her white sails to the morning breeze and starts for the blue ocean. She is an object of beauty and strength. I stand and watch her until at length she hangs like a speck of white cloud just where the sea and sky come to mingle with each other. Then someone at my side says, "There, she's gone." Gone where? Gone from my sight. That's all. She is just as large in mast and hull and spar as she was when she left my side. And she is just as able to bear her load of living freight to her destined port. Her diminished size is in me, not in her. And just at the moment when someone at my side said, "There, she is gone," there are other eyes watching her coming, and other voices ready to take up the glad shout, "Here she comes."
Is there anyone that has a story or would like to share a remembrance? Yeah, good. Here's one. Yeah, can you walk up to this mic so we can all hear? If I was younger, I'd run around with the mic to each of you, but I'm not.
I didn't realize we were able to do this, so I don't have anything written, but for many years, I'd say probably a good 10 years, I knew Kathleen, the spiritual side of Kathleen that everybody's been describing. And I'm just in awe of everything else I've just heard, because when we were together, we had a master's Reiki group. We all took Reiki 2, Sui, and then we went on to do masters. We took Karuna Reiki together, and we met once a month for years. And I have, too, those little bags of things and the little essential oils. And Kathleen was always such a calm presence in our group, and I was always so thankful when she was there. She just added so much light and peace, and gosh, I didn't even know about the cabin or anything like that. I didn't know about the downhill skiing or the scuba diving, and I wished I'd known more of those things. So thank you all for sharing all those bits and pieces that I missed out on in her life. She was really special to me. Thank you.
I'm Pam Kaufman. I'm sorry for the family and all the friends' loss of Kathleen. She was a special person. I don't remember exactly. Can you hear me now? Is that better? When I first met her, sometime in the 90s. So those of you that go to the church here and love the addition, that's in large part due to Kathleen. She and I were co-chairs of the Capitol campaign, and so the large room over there, the elevator, and some of the basement was in part her organizational skills. That was one of her many talents. I didn't know we got to bring things today, or I would have brought Kathleen's plant that she gave me that has all these babies. And we could share that. And then met David and their new life together. And through our love of dogs, we shared dog walking, and I cared for their dog, Dakota, for a number of times. So I've been happy to hear all the stories, and I'm a little underprepared too, but I just wanted to say thanks, and for her work for the church here that some people might not know, because it was serious work. So thank you all.
No, we're waiting for you. Okay. Several things have been mentioned. I'd like to share a story too. Lori's with the broom. Now I know where this came from. Pam's mentioning how calm. as a pastoral care, it came to Kathleen and I one day to an elderly woman had been moved into a nursing home, and the family was out of town, so the apartment complex called us, and Kathleen and I volunteered to clean it up. We had no idea what we were walking into until we opened the door. And I wouldn't call her a hoarder, but she had never thrown a thing away. And I'm, of course, ready to shut the door and pay somebody that could come and do it. Kathleen rolls up her sleeves and says, "Let's go." And she drags me in. And so there was no path to the bedroom, so we had to clear out paths to like into the kitchen, into the one bedroom. And as we get into the bedroom, after we moved so much and threw away so much, we got to where we could see underneath the bed. And as we glanced from across the room, we thought it was possibly a bat. So I'm ready again to run out. Kathleen goes into the closet and gets a broom. And she took the brushy end and put a scarf on her head and then bent down and was just gently pushing it ever so soft. And then when it didn't move, she dragged me back in because now we turned the broom around. We don't. She does. And she pulls it out ever so carefully. And as we stared at it, what the best we could imagine was it was a bologna sandwich that had been shoved under the bed that had caramelized and turned black. We laughed so hard. And the rest of the chore that day was easy because of Kathleen's intuitiveness, her calmness, and her use of a broom. So, anybody else have anything to share? Yes. Come on. You're halfway here.
I'm going to try to get through this. I'm Libby, Kathy's younger sister, and about a week or two ago, I had a dream about Kathy, and it was so sweet. It was so classic Kathy, and she was sitting there, and she was already gone, but she was talking to me. And I told her I wanted to write her a letter, and she said, "Please do." So here it is. Dear Kathy, it is not so hard to put into words my thoughts of you, my love for you, and our shared memories. What is hard is that I cannot tell you right now, face to face. Since your passing, I've been thinking more about our lives that we shared, our friendship, and most of all, our sisterhood. Like the times you and Ted came out to visit me in Nevada and California during my most difficult health challenges and subsequent divorce. That was so incredible. You helped me see the days behind me will be more clear and that there are brighter days to come. These visits were both healing and full of laughter and love. Thank you for being there. The fun we sisters, the four of us, shared on our many sister trips. Places explored and new adventures shared. Some were difficult that we stuck it out together. I think of our Door County trip to Michigan, which was one of the most special times. Boy, did we have fun. Our many telephone calls, Kathy, sharing and caring and supportive. I never knew if I was any help to you during your difficult times and days, as you were always there for me. Not until the one day you called and said, "I am so glad you answered, Lib. I really needed to hear your friendly, cheerful voice." Kathy, your love of life, of family, of friends, nature, and all the goodness around us, you said once, if we would just take a few minutes, slow down, see it and feel it and experience it, the peacefulness in all of it. You loved hard, laughed hard, and played hard. You lived a full and incredible life that was cut off all too soon. I ran across a birthday card you sent to me that said, as the years go by, we begin to see and learn what matters. Years don't matter. Differences don't matter. Love matters. As sisters, we shared a bond of family, of memories, of love. Lib, for you, thank you for your laughter, your friendship, and most of all, your love. I just want you to know how much you matter to me. I love you, Lib, and will forever. Kathy, I miss you so very much. I'm so thankful for what we had and shared, and all the memories that I will keep in my heart. We can't choose our siblings, but we can choose our friends. I'm so glad you were both of these to me. I will always love you, Kathy, my dear sister, my dear friend. And on the back of this, I ran across these two pictures. The four of us sitting on the front porch of our home growing up. And then three of us together in my home when she brought us two large hats. Yes.
Thank you, Libby.
Hello, my name is Teresa, and Kathy was my sister. I'm just a year younger than her. And I want to say, first of all, thank you to all of you for what you've done today. It's really incredible, and we're quite touched. And also a broader thank you to her Iowa family. You know, she came here in 1973. That was 51 years ago. And we in Colorado were heartbroken. It's like, how can you leave Colorado to go to Iowa? But she loved it here. And of course, as we came out to visit, we could see why. My in-laws lived in Illinois, so I spent a lot of time there. And you know, the wide open plains and the fields and the farms and the barns, it's gorgeous in its own way. And I understand how she loved it. And this is family to her. This is her life. This is where she was meant to be. And like so many of you have mentioned, she loved the environment. She loved to be outside. And one thing we did a lot of together, she and I, was work trips. You know, Colorado Trails, it's a trail that runs from New Mexico all the way up to Canada. We would do a couple segments of those for a couple of summers. And then in 2016, she called me and she said, do you want to do a Sierra Club trip to Valley Forge? And being a history teacher, I said yes immediately. And so we went in October, and I flew to Chicago, and she picked me up, and we drove, and lots of stories about that on the trip. But like these kind of environmental trips, you spend 24 hours a day with these people, and all you talk about is the environment, you know. And the group leaders on this trip came up with a topic each night for us to discuss. Now, our role that week, our task was to get out these tiny invasive little snails from the creeks that run through Valley Forge National Park. So we're doing this, and of course, it's October. It's pouring rain. We've got on all our rain gear, but we're still getting these little snails out. So one night at dinner, the group leader said, our topic for tonight is water, conservation, water. And I'd like everyone in the group to go around and tell us what you do in your home to conserve water, what you do in your community, and basically, what can you do to go forward to preserve water? Because it's a finite resource. And so people are looking at each other. There's about 18 in our group. I'm from Colorado, Kathy from Iowa, there was a woman from Arizona, and everyone else was from New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and as we found out, didn't think water was an issue. So we hear a couple of their stories, and one woman says, well, water's not really an issue because it rains a lot where I live. And she said, I try to fill up my dishwasher when I run it. I don't run it every night. I try and run full loads of laundry. And, you know, it was things like this. If I have a half glass of water left over, I try and water a plant. And the group leader is trying to say, but what can you do more to conserve water? Well, I guess I don't need to water my lawn every day. So, you know, those of us from the West are like, whoa, okay. So it gets to Kathy's turn. She stands up and she said, well, I'm from Iowa, but I grew up in Colorado. She said, water is always an issue in Colorado. She said, we have the mountains, but there's never enough. And she said, I'm from a large family, and, you know, people go to the bathroom a lot. And she said, so from an early age, our parents would tell us, If it's yellow, let it mellow, and if it's brown, flesh it down. And there's just silence in this dining hall. And people are looking at each other like, did she really say that? And I'm nodding, and the woman from Arizona is nodding. And finally, someone laughed and said, "You're telling a joke, right?" And she said, "No. If it's yellow, let it mellow, and if it's brown, flush it down." And she said, "And we still do that in Iowa." She said, "I do that at my house." And she said, because when you think about it, the water in our toilets is the same water that we drink, that we make our coffee with. We'll wash our clothes with that, and we flush our waste down. She said, it's precious. And she said, so it's okay to let it mellow. And so the next time you go to the bathroom, if it's yellow, flush it, and if it's not, just let it sit.
Is there anyone else that would like to share? I appreciate all the voices that have been lifted and the stories we still carry with us. So we will now hear our song. Well, we have heard so much of Kathleen, and I actually had gone on to the Legacy website to present the words others might have used that aren't able to be here today, and they're the same. Inspiring, enthusiastic, zest for living, embracing the moments, always a smile, enjoyment of the small things. We add them to all the words we have expressed today, our gratitude, our love, our thankfulness, for how she has enriched our lives. We have remembered, honored, and celebrated her time amidst us, even as we find it hard to articulate with words the loss of her physical presence from our lives. Words are the vehicles we use as our means of communication, but the undeniable impact of Kathleen on us is really beyond our words. The imprint of her life is what's left with us. Every time we choose to live our lives to the fullest, she is there. When we lean in to listen to another with understanding and compassion, she is there. Every time we look at the night sky, or chase a lightning bug, or pause to hear a songbird, she is there. When a challenge arises before us, we roll up our sleeves and enter into the four-way. When the days are dark, we lighten them for others by sharing the burden. These are the intangibles, the profundities of which Kathleen has left us with, which are not extinguished upon her death, but inflamed within us to burn brighter, grow deeper, extend further, and touch another human so they know they matter again and again and again. And many of you did that as Kathleen began her descent into Alzheimer's. You showed up for her, if but to simply hold her hand to let her feel there was someone there. You walked the journey with her, giving her more than you would ever know, and enriched yourself by doing so. You bore witness to the person who you knew her to be, remembrances of other times of laughter and wild things that Kathleen never shied away from. And you gave back to her the gifts that she had given to you, with the message always and forever given, no matter what, she was loved. And maybe, just maybe, life for Kathleen had gone full circle, from being the giver of grace and kindness, thoughtfulness and caring, and now was given back to her by those whose lives she had touched. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere in the deep recesses within her, this source, this mysterious center that resides in all of us, heard Kathleen's desire spoken with no words, but a deep sigh upon the completion of a life well lived. Might the wordless prayer in that sigh have spoken something like this: I am ready to go, to join so many family and friends who have gone before me. I have fought the good fight. I have given all I have. I have nothing left to give. I am ready for what lies ahead, so let it be this night. And so it began, slowly as the gravity let go of its grip, and the essence of Kathleen floated upward, moving along by the wind. And she hitched ride on those billowy clouds. She passed on to a rainbow. She slid down the array of colors while being cheered on by the howl of the woods and monkeys and the melody of the songbirds. She landed on the eagle's wings. She followed the flight of the stars that led her to a faraway place that is near to us as our own breath. There she was greeted by the hugs and embraces of those who had gone before, and all melded into one in an essence as she places herself in our hearts where love never dies. And amidst this awe, this celebration, a voice boomed out over the ruckus that was heard by the whole universe, and we may still hear it today. Well done, my good and faithful servant. And in the circle of life, there is our sorrow, and there is our joy, and everything in between. So we thank you, Kathleen, for showing us the way. Amen. Please stand as you are. No? Am I right? Yes. Please stand as you are able and willing for the following hymn, 354. We laugh, we cry.
Please join me in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We have gathered to share the loss we have felt in Kathleen's passing. We share examples of joy we carry from her life. Before we extinguish the chalice, let us acknowledge that we will not, that we cannot extinguish the love she showed us. May we always be able to see that light as it is reflected in all we do. Remember and smile. Nobody can.
Now for our final benediction. May the love which overcomes all differences, heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which triumphs over death, be in us and among us, now and forever. Amen. Please be seated as the Quad City Singers does our postlude.
Actually, you're going to help with the postlude. Words of Wendell Berry, so just sing back what I sing. When I rise, let me rise like a bird from a tree. When I fall, let me fall like a leaf, gracefully, without regret. While I live, let me live like a river, flowing free. When I move on to the next place, let me sing gratefully, without regret. When I rise, let me rise like a bird from a tree. When I fall, let me fall like a leaf, gracefully, without regret. While I live, let me live like a river, flowing free. When I move on to the next place, let me sing gratefully, without regret.
Thank you all for attending, and now we retire downstairs for the celebration. So, thank you all.